Welcome to the complete guide to the bird dog exercise. The bird dog is a really classic core stability exercise that many people love teaching and practicing in the yoga, the movement, the fitness, and the rehab worlds. So today, Travis and I are going to take a deeper look at the bird dog, and we're going to go through our favorite 13 variations of this awesome exercise. So I mentioned the bird dog is like a core stability exercise, but like, what else is there about the bird dog?
Yeah, so I think we like the bird dog for a few reasons.
I'm going to show it.
Yeah, so we'll start off by showing it and you can see what we mean. So we like the bird dog because it's core stability, which means that the core is working to prevent or resist unwanted motion. So the bird dog is an opposite arm and leg raise. And when you raise that opposite arm and leg, there is a tendency your core wants to rotate. And so
Right.
by resisting that rotation, that's what creates the core stability challenge, and particularly our rotary core. So our
Right.
obliques are the muscles that are resisting rotation. And then we're also getting really nice hip extension work through that reaching back leg and some nice work into shoulder flexion or our
Like
overhead
this.
shoulder range of motion, which is nice for some of the muscles around our shoulder and scapula.
It really like hits a lot of points, doesn't it? Like
Hmm.
there's a lot that's good about bird dogs.
Yeah. So I think that's why we've come up with so many variations because,
Exactly.
sometimes performing the same old bird dog over and over again can get a little old.
That's true. Like once you practice it enough times, there may not be much like new to learn or experience about it. So having all these variations can be really handy for like our toolkit.
Totally. So shall we show the first one?
Yeah. So that
Or
was
the
like the classic
that
bird
that was
dog.
the first
That
one.
was the first one, right?
And our second exercise of 13
Yes. So this is our second.
will
What's this
be
one?
the bird dog with a block on the back. So, what's nice about this block is that if you're allowing your trunk torso to rotate, you'll know because the block will fall off. So, the block provides this proprioceptive input so that you can make sure that you're keeping your torso and pelvis level and square to the floor as you are alternating sides on the bird dog.
So it really helps kind of keep under control a tendency that we often see where people are not misalignment or bad, but just maybe not getting the full potential when
Yeah,
they're
just not getting the full core stability emphasis that we want. And if you didn't have a
exactly.
block, you could use a book or a cone or
Right.
something.
Did you say a cone?
Yeah.
Like
A traffic
a
cone. I don't
traffic?
know.
Okay,
Maybe you don't
yeah.
have one of those either.
Traffic. Okay, so what's our third?
Our third variation is called the super dog, and this is a forearm bird dog. So the bird dog arms and leg motion is the same, but what is different is that by being on the forearms, we're lower to the floor, our torso is lower to the floor, and what that does is it puts us in a little bit more hip flexion and also lumbar or lower back bending,
Flexion?
which allows us to localize the hip extension more to that joint. So one of the mistakes that people sometimes make in the regular
I'll try
bird
to show
dog,
it.
yeah,
The like mistake.
is that they think, "Oh, I'm supposed to lift this leg up." And when they lift it up, they kind of run out of hip extension room and they end up arching a lot through the lower back, which isn't like a bad thing to do per se, but what we're really focusing on is the hip extension through the glutes and the hamstrings, which is what we should be thinking about is more of a reach through that
Oh
back
yeah.
leg and forward through the front hand as opposed to a lift up. And so, anyway, that super dog, by being in that flex position to start, kind of forces us to move more through the hip because the lumbar is kind of locked in.
Yeah, it doesn't like allow for as much freedom of movement through the spine,
Right.
maybe. Yeah. So yeah, fourth,
Yep. So, our fourth variation is the elbow to knee or the bird dog crunch. And so what we've shown before is kind of just alternating side by side. What we do here is we're going to do the same side over and over again, but in between each one, instead of replacing the hand and leg on the floor, we're reaching the elbow to the knee in the middle and underneath our body. So what we really want to aspire to do here is touch the elbow to the kneecap as opposed to touching higher up on the thigh. And that's going to force us to crunch a little bit deeper and just get a little bit more ab activation and that like cross body thing, which is really nice.
Yeah, totally. I like that one.
Nice. Our fifth variation is called bird dog squares. And this one is not radically different from a typical bird dog, but from this position, we're going to draw a square with our arm and our leg. So you could do this by drawing the square in the same direction every time, or draw it in one direction and then reverse it. Either way, it's fine. It's just a nice coordination challenge and also a little bit of more of an endurance challenge because you are staying up into the bird dog the whole time. And maybe the
You
square is just
are.
like a distraction from that, but it's also a coordination component to
And
it.
I totally feel that. Like you really have to focus on, and you're moving both limbs at the same time.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so, yeah.
the coordination, not just of the square, but of the arm and leg doing the square at the same time is a lot.
And also because the arm and the leg are moving, isn't that potentially like an internal perturbation?
Right. So internal perturbation is that it's trying to throw you off course. Like you're moving and you're having to further resist that motion. You're already
Right.
kind of creating this core stability thing by being on one arm and one leg, and now you're creating movement that you have to further resist.
Exactly.
Good point.
Super cool.
Our sixth variation is the lateral bird dog. So our typical bird dog, we're reaching out long,
Like usually it's like
in
this.
and that is a sagittal plane exercise because it's flexion extension. But in this case, the lateral bird dog, we're going to reach the opposite arm and leg out to the side. So that leg is going to hip abduction, and then the arm is going into horizontal
I'm
abduction.
just going to show it from this angle, just
Yeah,
to get a
yeah.
head on. So yeah, out to the side. Oh, and I have the knee bent, but you can also straighten the leg.
And that'll make it a little bit harder. So
Yeah,
more lateral hip on this variation and more posterior shoulder for the upper body.
yeah. It's a
And
great
just
way to change it
a
up.
new coordination
New
challenge.
coordination. Yeah, novelty in bird dog.
Our seventh variation is the band resisted bird dog. So this is, we're going to show several resisted variations, but this is resistance into the bird dog position, whereas the next few we'll show are going to be resistance in a different way. So Jenni has the band looped around her foot and she has it in her hand, and then she stretches that band out. And so as the band stretches, there's more tension. And so she has to work pretty hard to kick back into the band and press through the band. And it's got this nice diagonal action of the opposite arm to the opposite leg.
It's really cool. And I felt that like kind of diagonally across my core as I did that.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
really cool.
So core stability plus some strength through that arm and leg.
That's right.
Our next variation is called the bird dog pull through. And for this one, we'll use a kettlebell. We're going to show it with a kettlebell. You could also use a dumbbell. And now the bird dog legs are going to be the same, but instead of reaching the arm up, Jenni is reaching through her body, and then she's pulling the kettlebell or dumbbell across her body. So this is really nice because kind of like that lateral bird dog, it's getting more of the posterior shoulder because it's kind of like a rear delt fly
Right. Kind of like that action, right?
or a pull apart. And it's also cool because we're creating this cross body motion of, okay, the right arm is working to pull the kettlebell through as the left leg is extending.
Yes. So bird dog pull through.
And again, like an extra internal perturbation there.
That's right. It adds on to that. Yeah.
Our our ninth variation
Ninth.
is the bird dog pull down with a resistance band. So you can anchor the band on any sturdy object that you have handy. We happen to be anchoring it on a heavy kettlebell here.
We're a
And
little
then,
bit in a tight spot here, but I'll
yes,
just we'll try to show
yeah.
you.
So ideally, you would want to get far enough away from the anchor point where you have tension on the band and you're using the full potential of the band. So what Jenni does is she maintains the bird dog leg and she does the pull down with the opposite arm. So whereas before we were reaching the arm up, now the arm starts up and then performs a lat pull down. And so again, nice cross body action of the opposite arm and leg working, nice core stability challenge with this added resistance from the pull down.
Yeah, it's really cool because the band resisted bird dog we showed a little bit ago when I put the band like all the way around and pushed out. It's like the same joint position pushing out, but this
Yeah.
is the opposite resistance.
Right. So it looks the same like if you didn't see the band. If you ignored the band, you're doing a bird dog either way, but the
Hmm.
resistance is in the opposite direction, which is super cool.
Yeah, totally.
Our 10th variation is the bird dog row. And this one requires a little bit more equipment. So you could, if you were in a gym or you had a workout bench, you could use a workout bench. We're going to show it for ease of home workouts on two chairs side by side. We like the chairs because it gives you a little bit more height to actually lower the arm fully. But in this variation, Jenny will be bird dogging and rowing at the same time.
Ooh,
So
it's hard. This is tough.
the bird dog leg is going to be up the whole time, and then she performs her row on the opposite side. And you would use a lighter kettlebell than you would use if you were just doing a one arm bent over row. But this creates a huge anti-rotation core stimulus. Before you were having to work to stay square to the floor, and now you're really having to work because there's 20 however many
Yes.
pounds trying to rotate you back to the ground.
It's a really good one. I feel these chairs are a little hard. Like a workout bench is usually a little more padded and it's all one.
Sure.
So maybe a little preference toward that. But if you don't have that, then two chairs.
You can make it work at home.
Exactly.
Our 11th variation is the bear position bird
This
dog.
one is tough.
This is really tough. So, regular bird dog, your knees are obviously on the ground. In bear position, sometimes in yoga we call it hovering tabletop. Your
Hmm.
knees are just an inch or two off the ground. And then you perform your bird dog while keeping that knee an inch or two off the ground. So by raising those knees off the ground, you know that the quads have to work way more, the muscles on the front of the thighs, to keep you in that position. And the mistake that people often make is that they raise up out of that shape, like their hips come up too high.
Like kind of like this or
Yeah,
something.
and that makes it easier. So we really want to keep those knees just an inch or two off the floor, and then our bird dog is regular. But there's even more instability now, trying to stay square to the floor when you're up on your toes instead of on your knees.
I would say that of all the ones we've shown so far, at least for me, that one was the most challenging. In
Wow.
terms of strength, I would say.
Okay.
Like, whoa, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's
So
great.
not for the faint of heart. The next one is called the inline bird dog. And what we mean by this is kind of like imagining that you were on a tightrope. So whereas before hands were under shoulders, knees were underneath hips,
Right,
now
like
we're going to
this.
put the hands and knees like right in line, like if you were on a balance beam in gymnastics. So this narrows the base of support and makes it much more unstable. So you have to create your own stability to make sure that you're not falling over in either direction.
Now this is, like I said, the bear one was really tough, strength wise.
Right.
This is super tough, but it's
Balance
more
wise.
balance wise. Exactly.
Yeah.
Different kind of challenge.
Right. And so this last one, our 13th variation, will be the hardest variation of all. And this is the ipsilateral or same side bird dog. So Jenny will do her best with this demonstration. Before, all of the variations that we've shown have been contralateral, which means we're working our right arm and left leg or vice versa. Now, Jenny is working her same side. So right arm and left leg raise, and then
And then touchdown.
return
Come
to the start
down.
position, and she repeats. So before with the inline, we had this tightrope action. Now we have that again, but it's on the same side,
It's on
and
the
it's
same side.
Jenny's doing an amazing job. You might try this. When I try this, I fall over immediately, and that's okay. Something to aspire to.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's super challenging as well. But yeah, in that balance sense.
Yeah.
And just so good to mix it up, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, give all of these variations a try. See which ones you like, which
Hmm.
ones feel good to you, which ones challenge you in a different way from the traditional one.
Yeah, exactly. So we hope you enjoyed our complete guide to the bird dog exercise. And if you appreciated this content, subscribe to my channel so that you can stay up to date on all of the content that I share.